It's Season Saturday. Well, almost Sunday, truth be told. Oh well, it's a lazy weekend. Perfect for kicking back with some munchies and watching Connecticut Seasons, the fifth entry into Variety Films' Seasons series. Again, for those unfamiliar, this is not a guided tour. If you don't know much about the state, well, you're not going to learn about it here. This is pure 3D sightseeing for ignorant, wide-eyed tourists staring out from the Variety Films bus, where a bee visiting a large flower holds more fascination than the combined intellect of Yale. A good portion of this journey takes place in the rain, and we get to listen to the pitter-patter as we explore. It's a beautifully relaxing experience. It's the sort of thing that once I started watching, I found myself transfixed and forgetful of whatever was on my mind. If you are having a hard week, this is therapy. And the 3D helps glue me in. It's often very strong, sometimes challengingly strong, but the slow pace keeps the eyes from protesting too much. The puddles often have an extremely strong reflection that results in an almost flickering window. But for me, the best were these jaw-dropping moments, exploring the wet, ocean-soaked eastern snow, gluing itself to everything it touches. The contrast of a blazing sun drilling through the haze of flurries is the stuff of magical fairy books. That is such a beautiful sight, and it looks like it must have been absolutely freezing and terrible to actually be there filming it, but I appreciate the effort. Although this whimsical gallop through the woods is actually almost overshadowed by the extras on the disc. There is a terrifically fun mini-documentary called Hall of Fame, where we visit a truck museum. Whimsical it is not. The curators of this place have a supercharged enthusiasm that is infectious to hear. If they were selling these machines, they'd have the place emptied in a week. I'd probably be walking out with two, wondering how the hell I'm going to get them home. The camera, though, never loses sight of the fact that it is here for a 3D show and is always searching for the bits that stick out at you. This mirror shot in particular was a lot of fun. Though the shiny chrome and reflective dirty glass make for some very magical stereo moments, most of the trucks are unrestored and show their wear and tear. The philosophy here seems to be keep it original, regardless of condition. It gives some areas the appearance of a scrapyard, and I can only imagine the snide remarks from the wives every time one of these things gets dragged home. Which leads to an interesting debate. I've heard dealers remark that rust isn't antique. On the other hand, a replaced part is a new part, and it really becomes a demonstration of the past rather than an actual piece of the past. Of course, it wasn't rusty in the past, so a restored part is perhaps closer to the genuine experience of the past. But I think a person who's lived among these machines sees himself in that metal. It's growing old, and he's growing old with it. To throw it out would be to throw himself out. It'd almost be like trying to replace your old friends with younger people. It'd just be kind of a dumb imitation that hasn't earned its place in the garage. And elsewhere on the disc, we get treated to a 3D photo sideshow of, well, a museum of some sort, showing off plenty of animals, like this famous New England polar bear. Unlike their northern cousins, they generally hibernate in Los Angeles and fly out to do Coca-Cola commercials. The only snow they see comes from Mexico. The stereo really helps bring home how big the jaws are on some of these creatures. They are born for eating. They have a different type of relationship with their mouth than I do. I suppose it's because they have to use it for things that we normally use our hands for, I also wonder how a taxidermist gets the muscles into a realistic position. Are there even muscles left, or is it just a fur coat on top of some foam stuffing? I have no idea. I wonder, with these insects, do they just pin them on the board and let them dry out, or do you have to spray them with some kind of preservative first? Now, I don't know the connection, but we also get a look at these neat little metallic doll houses. I do not think I've ever seen such a thing before. Do they come that way, or did they come in a kit that you assemble yourself? I wonder what their history was. And along those lines, I didn't know much about Connecticut going into this disc, and I have to say, I really don't know much more coming out. But I enjoyed the trip, and I am in a bitter mood for having taken it. Generally, we watch movies to see some unimaginable carnage unfold on screen, but I invite you to try one of these discs out and sink into a truly relaxed frame of mind. It will give you a new holistic appreciation of what 3D movie watching can do for the soul.